Hi, Angela. Hi, Emily. Thank you so much for being here today. I'm so grateful. So I'm so excited that Tall Girl 2 is coming out because Tall Girl 1 was amazing. So Angela, I had a question for you. I was reading a little bit about your background, and you really didn't have the full middle school experience, if I read that correctly. It was broken in half for middle school and high. If you could give us, our viewers, a little bit more in-depth perception about that, and as well as, I love what your mom did for you, because I do that to my son every morning, the pumping him up and, giving him positive affirmation. And I like the fact that you said you got it, because I'm hoping he gets it, because he just looks at me and goes, and then he walks away.
I know you hope it seeps in somewhere, right? My dad was a drilling engineer. And when I was young, we moved to Jakarta, Indonesia, and I lived there till I was 14. And then we were transferred stateside. So I had lived 12 years in Indonesia, and all of a sudden was going to be the new kid in America. And I was ahead in a few subjects. So I went to 2 schools. I was new to 2 schools on one day. And my mom drove me to the middle school. I cried the whole way there. And then she said she cried the whole way home, and at lunchtime, she came and picked me up. She brought me a lunch. I ate it in the car as she drove me across town to the high school where I finished my day. To both schools, I was the weirdo, why does she leave at lunch? Why isn't she ever here for after school activities? And then at the high school, who's the 4'1"? I'm like, I've been short my whole life. Like, who's the little kid over there? And I was there with all these high schoolers. So that was why my middle school was so wonky. And it was one of the hardest year and a half of my life. It broke my heart. It broke my mom's heart. It broke my dad's heart, but we moved for his job. It's what happens. You've got to take care of your family. And it made me really resilient. And I really felt like I got through that time in my life with my mom, because my dad had to go to work, and she is who got me through it. We got each other through it. And I learned so much about myself and about my resilience and conquering fear and being comfortable in your own skin and learning that self-doubt is just a lifelong journey that you get through. So it was a huge time in my life. And this movie spoke to me on so many levels, and getting to be a part of it. I just loved being able to be part of this movie.
It's amazing. Thank you for everything. I appreciate it.
Next, we're going to go to Carrie Pittman from Living with Littles.
Hello, good morning. My question is for Emily. And I'm a mom of teenagers and tweens myself. So I just kind of wonder, I like the fact that the film touches on the importance of friendship support, family support, believing in yourself, having confidence, all those really important things. My question is, what is the one thing that's most important to you in having your viewers being teenagers and tweens watching? What would you want them to take away from this?
Yeah, I feel like the movie deals a lot with issues of self-doubt, anxiety, and just some mental health issues that I feel like a lot of teenagers are going through, especially now 2 years into a pandemic. And it's not even just for the teenagers, it's all of us. And I think sometimes, at least it helps for me to know that someone else is also going through the same journey. So I hope that they could see this movie and just know that they're not the only people going through what they're going through, and help them feel a little less alone. And to also remind them that they are good enough, that if they ever feel that inkling of self-doubt and hear that negative voice that starts percolating in their head, hopefully they could watch this movie and just be reminded to find that positive inner voice that could lift themselves up instead of tearing them down.
Next, we're going to go to Shel Weiss from Not Quite Susie Homemaker.
Hi, so my question is for Angela. Jodi's mom gives great advice at several points in the film. What is some great advice that you've been given in your life?
Well, I have shared this a few times today talking about this movie, and I'm so happy to share it again because my mom raised 4 girls, you know, I have 3 sisters. And one of the things she has said to us our whole lives, and she's 83 and she's still saying it, is why not you? And she says it with such like, like gusto, why not you? And so there would be these things I wanted to do. I grew up in Indonesia and then we moved to a rural farming community in Texas and I wanted to be an actor. No one does that. That felt so big and far-fetched. And my mom would be like, why not you? Why not? I'd be like, okay, mom, I guess I'll do it, So I just love that advice. And it's something I try to say to my own kids when they want to tackle something that feels enormous. I'm like, why not you? You can do this. You got it.
I love that. Thank you.
Next, we're going to go to Clarissa Camacho from Queen Bee Latina.
Hi, Emily. Hi, Angela. Thank you for chatting with Queen Bee Latina today. My question is actually for Emily. What was the process to interpret the script and develop its execution with the cast?
Oh, that's a great question so I came in, this is the second film in the series. So all of the cast members, they've already done it once and they've already had their chemistry. And I think that I got sort of the easy task, because usually you're like exploring the characters and figuring out what the backstory, but they've already had that entire first film. In fact, it's me coming in and sort of taking that reins. So for all of the cast members, it just like slipped right back into their characters very naturally and very easily. The only one I did some extensive work with is with Ava, because now Jodie's on a different journey, and just really tapping into that. In the first movie, it was very much an external insecurity, and in the second film, it's very much an internal insecurity. But for the rest of the cast, it's like, yeah, the hard job has been done by Zinga on the first one of exploring, what these characters are. And I just sort of inherited this cast who created magic the first time around.
Congratulations. I have to say, I love that you tapped into the whole concept of mental illness, because I think it's time to normalize it. So I really appreciate that as a young adult. And again, congratulations.
Well, thank you.
Next, we're going to go to Karen Bailey from Rockin' Mama.
Hi, thank you so much for taking time today. I loved the movie. My daughter is a huge fan. My question is about just the sequel, and I really liked how the characters evolved from the first film. And I wanted to find out, what do you envision? Do you see the characters? I can kind of see them like maybe it being like a series or another sequel. So I wanted to see like what the plans are for future other films or, I don't know, shows.
I have a pitch. Okay. Netflix family, anyone? Here's my pitch. Helene and Richie take their girls to Sweden to meet Stig's family. Emily, let's go to Sweden.
I know. We need a bigger budget for the next movie, Netflix.
Netflix, just a little bigger. That's my pitch. Let's go meet Stig's family.
I know. I would love to go to Sweden. I don't know if that's the direction they're taking necessarily, but even with the second film, I feel like everyone who watched the first movie probably didn't expect that there was going to be a second movie, because Jodie ended on such a high note. She like learned all her lessons. She learned to embrace her height. Where could a second movie go? And lo and behold, she has new insecurities that she has to deal with. So I feel like, what is their tagline? Growing up is a tall order. There's always more lessons to be learned. And I would really love to see, they've been juniors throughout the first and second movie. I would really love to see what senior year brings for these characters as they are stepping into adulthood, applying for college, their next step. And, if I'm invited back as a director visually, I would love to stage a prom. And that's always been my dream, to stage a prom scene in a movie. So there better be a really awesome prom scene in the third movie.
Next, we're gonna go to Carolina Edson from What C Says.
Hi, thank you so much for being here. My question is for Emily. I know Clarissa had mentioned mental health earlier, and so I just kind of wanted to talk about, know about that process of having those internal anxieties, especially as a teenager, and how you portrayed that on the film, and how important that was to have other, younger kids, but even me kind of relating to that as well, even though I'm not a teenager anymore. But how that process was and how important it is to portray it on film.
Yeah. Again, like when I read the script, this was something that really drew me to the project, because I feel like it went beyond what your typical teen rom-com is. And I feel like I never really seen the issues of imposter syndrome that manifests into an anxiety attack, featured and portrayed in a teen rom-com before. So I really love that. And in terms of just like figuring out how to visualize it, I had a lot of exploration conversations with my DP, where like, how do we get people to feel what Jodie is going through when she has these anxiety attacks? And we used Requiem for a Dream as a reference, where we mounted a camera directly onto Jodie when she's having these anxiety attacks, so that the audience could really see her emotions and feel what she's going through, because you cannot get any closer to an actor than mounting a camera directly on her body. So we use that, and also in the sound design, whenever you have an anxiety attack like that, you feel like there's like waves crashing like over you. And the sound designer, whether the audience could hear it overtly or not, he built in ocean waves in the sound design when she has the anxiety attack. So like when you watch the scenes, we want the audience to feel like what Jodie is going through with, the sonic design and also the way we shot it. And we hope to get the audience into Jodie's skin a little bit and really feel what she's going through in that moment.
I took a picture of the mounted camera coming out of her chest, this harness that she was wearing when we pulled off on the side of the road. So we did several takes, right? Obviously takes without it, and then a take with it. And Emily, I'll have to send it to you. She
looks like right. Terminator. Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
For our next question, we're going to go to Christina Patricio from the Patricios.
Hi, my question is for Emily. Do you have a favorite scene in the movie or favorite memory while filming?
Yeah, I have two favorite scenes in the movie. So obviously my favorite scene is the Bye Bye Birdie performance at the end. It's the sort of show-stopping set piece that the whole entire film was working towards. And the entire cast and crew worked so hard to bring that sequence alive. I mean, we rehearsed for weeks with the actors. I mean, Jean-Louis, who plays Tommy, does not have a singing or dancing background. So he had to learn how to dance and learn the choreography. So he was like rehearsing every time he's not shooting. And it was just this big set piece that we poured our like hearts into. And I think the results really show on screen. But on the other end of the spectrum, my other favorite scene is the packing scene between Harper and Jodie, also towards the end of the movie, when Harper kind of admits that she too suffers from that negative inner voice. And it's a very quiet and intimate scene. And the two girls just completely pour their heart and soul into the scene. And I remember watching it behind the monitor, and it moved me to tears. And even now, whenever I watch the movie, that scene still moves me very much. So yeah, from the big showpiece to the very quiet, intimate scene, those kind of represent my two favorite scenes in the movie.
Okay, we have a few more minutes left. Carrie, back to you, please. From Living with Littles.
So I don't have any more questions. Thank you.
Okay, how about Shell? Do you have another question for us?
Sure. Emily, the movie has so many nostalgic vibes for all those great teen rom-coms that have come before it. What were some of the movies that inspired your direction in this, and what are some of your favorite previous teen rom-coms?
Yeah, well, so the Tall Girl series owes a lot to the John Hughes 80s rom-coms, especially Pretty in Pink. And those were my favorite rom-coms growing up. So it was very special that I get to join the Tall Girl franchise. But what I thought was really cool about the first one was it's basically Pretty in Pink, but where Ducky gets the girl instead of the hot guy. So I love that we were able to rewrite the ending of a John Hughes movie. In fact, that was the original ending, but it tested poorly. So, but like now it's a different time. So yeah, very much the John Hughes vibe. And more recently, we were really kind of looking up to the To All the Boys franchise on Netflix, which I thought just has so much heart, so sweet, so charming. And that was sort of like where I wanted to take the sequel to. The characters are a little older in the sequel. So it's like we could go a little bit more older, also in tone and in execution. And here's a fun fact, as you know, we were trying to pick like Dunkelman and Jody's song, and we chose Backstreet Boys. And that song came out before either actors were born. So it could not have been their song. It's like way before their time. But basically, I chose my favorite song in high school as their song.
I think I just got gray hairs hearing that, but thank you. That's exactly the vibe I get from the movie.
Yeah.